So this summer, I started this little series called the Mini Marriage Series, and it covered different topics like submission. I talked about being your husband's buddy. I talked about being your husband's helper, praying for your husband. It was just a really fun series. And so if you haven't seen those videos, I'll have them in the link below. But today I wanted to make another video in my mini marriage series, but talking particularly about things that I wish I had done earlier on in marriage and things that I think would have just made our marriage smoother and would have made me be a better wife quicker. All that being said, I'm no pro when it comes to marriage. I feel like I'm constantly learning, constantly trying to improve, and yet these are just things that I think would have helped. So maybe they'll be helpful to someone out there watching this video. So the first one, it might sound kind of silly, but it's stop being so serious all the time. When I first went into marriage, I don't know what it seems like I am like on camera, but I'm a fairly serious person, I would say, as far as I want to always be only having deep conversations, be talking about like the deepest corners of our soul, asking very nosy questions that I probably shouldn't ask. That's the type of person that I am. And so I think I just thought going into marriage that every conversation needed to be about like every single thing that we could improve in our marriage right now, like things we need to work on each other, just constantly really serious stuff. And while I still love those conversations, and I really appreciate that my husband's willing to have those with me, probably far more often than he would prefer, I am trying to get better at just being fun and just trying to have fun with my husband and not having to have every conversation be super duper serious. And I'm not naturally this way, but I think my husband likes it, and I see that it's good for both of us, and I've actually kind of come to enjoy it myself. So like some practical little things I've been doing lately, like I proposed to my husband the other day because I bought him one of those silicone rings because I was nervous about his finger getting ripped off at work with his really hard ring. Laughing more at his jokes. Sometimes I'll text him little jokes while he's at work that aren't even really that funny, but maybe it's just making our relationship a little bit more goofy, which I'm not a naturally goofy person, but I think it's good for both of us, and I actually enjoy it myself. And so, yeah, we'll just wrestle. We'll get in these little arguments about dumb stuff just for fun, and it's actually very fun. And so I think I would have gone back and told myself, you don't need to have every conversation be so serious. You can laugh at his jokes. You don't have to always be so easily offended. I'm not naturally good at any of these things, but I'm trying to get better. The next thing, I think this is one of the most important, is that marriage is full of seasons. And I've learned this from the start. There are really high highs in marriage where marriage is just awesome, and then there are seasons that are just harder. And maybe it's due to one of you, maybe it's due to outside just stressful circumstances, maybe it's due to just a season where you just feel disconnected. But I know early on in marriage, I think because the lie is so propagated and I absolutely hate it, and it's constantly being stated that, oh, you're just going to fall out of love. It's just the honeymoon phase. Like this idea that one day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, who on earth did I marry and what on earth did I do? And I want to say, if you feel this way, I've been married only for 4 years, but I love Danny so much more deeply. We get along so much more smoothly now. We understand each other so much better. We have such, and in so many ways, we have such an awesome, awesome marriage that I love so, so much. And I just think that that's a lie. And I think it's an expectation Satan sets so that we don't rise to the marriage or really seek to have the marriage we really desire, because we think it's impossible. I think it would have given me so much comfort to have known when we did go through seasons of just feeling really disconnected, or maybe we were just having more arguments in closer succession or whatever it was, that these seasons don't last and that you can get past them and you can work through them and actually have a deeper love and a deeper understanding of each other afterward than you did before. And I think that would have been so encouraging, and still to this day, we'll go through seasons where we're just not connecting as well. Maybe we're not communicating as well. Maybe we're stressed by outside things that are kind of coming into our marriage and ruining that connection that we both really want with each other. And yet every time we've pulled through, we've gotten through, I think now those seasons are a lot shorter because we just understand each other better. I think we don't take things as personally. I'm speaking mostly of myself. And I'm just really grateful for that. And I'm grateful to realize that you don't I didn't need to always panic as much as I did when we would go through maybe a hard week or a hard month of just feeling like we're really disconnected, and then worrying that our love for each other was gone and that, you know, we'll never have this feeling of connection again. So that's something that I wish I would have realized. Another thing that I am learning very recently is that in marriage is full of seasons. There are seasons we've gone through where I have wanted to talk to Danny so bad, and I've wanted to connect with Danny in that way so badly, and yet I've literally felt like I have nothing to say. And for an example, the last month of being pregnant to like the first 2 weeks after pregnancy, I was so exhausted that I longed for that connection, but we were both so tired and my brain was just so gone that I literally had nothing to say, even though I really wanted to talk about something meaningful. So I think there's two things that are really important that I'm learning that have really pulled us out of this. And this last month, like, the first couple weeks after kind of coming out of this pregnancy and postpartum brain fog, we had like some of the deepest conversations, some of my favorite conversations we've literally had in our entire marriage. By far, probably the very best, in my opinion, we've ever had. And so I know it's not just getting used to each other and running out of stuff to say. I think there's two things that it has to do with. One is you have to have energy, sleep. I know that's super hard, but when you're super tired, that's just a result. At least it is with my personality. You just don't have anything to say. Two is to be learning, be a lifelong learner. This is my goal. So the last month I've been jumping into reading books. I've been listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos. Like, I just feel like I'm learning so much, studying my Bible. My husband listens to podcasts. And then when we get together, we have so much to share with each other that we're both interested in, that kind of dig into these conversations we've never even thought to have before. And so the other thing that, if you experience this, I would say to do is just learn things that you're both interested in, whether it's business stuff, it's personality stuff, you know, it's theology. I love studying theology, all those type of things. I think it really helps with just being able to have deep, meaningful conversations long into your marriage, and just constantly be learning new things about each other. I think that is so fun. That is like one of the best feelings personally I can feel, is when we go on a date or we're driving together and Danny says something and I'm like, I never knew that about him. Like, that is a totally new thing I never knew, and that makes so much sense. That explains this. And that's just so fun. And I think a huge part of that comes from just constantly learning and being excited to tell each other what you learn. The last thing is think positively of your spouse. This is so important, and it's so crazy to me. I'm married to an awesome man. We have an awesome marriage in so many ways. We have so many seasons of just, like, in my opinion, like marriage bliss, like the ultimate marriage. And yeah, that being said, although I'm married to an awesome man, if I'm having a negative day or we have some misunderstanding, it's really easy to go down this dark tunnel of just all of a sudden losing those positive feelings you have about your spouse. And so I think we both have tried really hard to not allow ourselves to think negatively of each other, not to assume the worst. I'm bad at this sometimes. I can assume the worst of so many people. We are in no means perfect, but I think we both focus on the good in each other so much of the time that I think we really appreciate each other. We genuinely appreciate each other a lot and love each other so much. And I think a huge part of it is not because either one of us is a perfect human being. It's because we choose to focus on the positive in each other and not let those little dumb, insignificant things get in the way of really just connecting and loving each other and appreciating what we do for each other. So that's kind of all I had to say. These are things that I wish I would have done. These are things that I wish I would have applied sooner in our marriage. But be a lifelong learner, I guess. So I hope this video was some encouragement to you if you have struggled with any of these feelings. I am by no means perfect. I struggle with these things every day. These are constant decisions I'm having to make all of the time, 24/7. But they're things I'm growing in. They're things I think I'm improving in, and I see good results in our marriage from them. So love you all. Have a wonderful week. I'll leave that little mini marriage series down below if you want to check it out, and I'll see you next weekend. Bye, guys.